All right, today we're going to work on lesson 2-1 mental math. The I can statement is I can use mental math to solve addition and subtraction problems. So you're going to use your brain to help you solve some problems, but you can, of course, check your work on a calculator or pencil paper. Three pieces in the Solve and Share, three pieces of software cost $20.75, $10.59, and $18.25. What is the total cost of the software? Use mental math to solve. So, what are some ways we can do this? And we're going to be talking about different strategies in this chapter. What I'd like to do first is just list them out here. I'm going to be adding, so I'm going to actually write them in place value order, get them all straightened out there. Don't forget my dollar sign. And that's how you would write it if you were going to find the standard answer. But we are going to actually do some estimating, and we're not really given any information that we have to estimate or round to the nearest whole number or the nearest tenth. So it's really up to us. You can help use reasoning to help. What do you know about adding three numbers that will make it easier to solve the problem? And in our vocabulary, we previewed that you can move the numbers around and put them in different orders. You're allowed to do that. There's lots of different ways you could figure this one out. We can round them, and we can round them to the nearest whole number. I'm going to start with that. $20.75 is about $21. $10.59 is closer to $11 than $10, and $18.25 is closer to 18 than it is to 19. So now I can mentally figure this stuff out. And I know 8 plus 1 plus 1 is 10. And I know 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. So I'm going to wind up with $50. Now, I just did that on pencil paper for you. So let's try to do that a little bit more in our brain. So if I were to add these in my brain, I would say, well, 21 plus 11 is 32, plus another 18 is, and this is all, is 40. This is a strategy. I'm adding my tens first, and then I'm going to add my ones in my head, and I wind up with 50 that way. That's another way you can do it. You can also regroup your values, and you can get a closer answer to the actual answer. So I know that 75 and 25 makes $1. So I can actually get really close to the actual answer here. Instead of estimating, I can find the exact answer. So in this case, it does say it wants the total cost, so it does want an exact answer. I know it's going to be around $50, but they want to see if you can figure this out without using pencil paper, get an exact answer. So knowing that if I added up all my whole numbers, 20 plus 10 is 30, plus 18. So in my head, I could think 48, 20, 30, 48. And then I know 25 and 75 is going to equal $1. So in my head, I think 49. And I just bring that little 59 cents down. So I have an exact answer there using regrouping. If this is too tricky for you and you just want to use standard algorithm, that's perfectly fine. At this point, some of you are able to do some more of this abstract mental math and some of you are not. And it's okay because what we need is an answer at the end. How you got to that answer is completely up to you. So that's using mental math, a couple different ways to help you solve a problem. We often use mental math to round at the beginning of our work and estimate so we can see if our answer is logical. So which two numbers above were easy to add in your head? And as we saw that, we could kind of see that easy to add would be the $20.75 and the $18.25 were easy to add in our head because we knew that 25 plus 75 made $1. So we knew we could add 20 plus 18, 20 plus 18 plus 1. Do that in our head, and we could get almost the whole problem solved, and all we had to do was worry about slapping the 59 cents on at the end. So that is our solve and share, and let's move on. And again, if you're unable to do this abstract math in your head, you can just do it old school, pencil, paper, And as we go through, you just want to give it a try, and you might be able to figure some of these out. How can you use mental math to add? Properties of addition can help you find the total cost of these three items. So the properties are things you already know. We're just giving it a name. Associative property lets you change the grouping of addends, the order of the numbers. You can change them around, and in this case, they have parentheses around the first two values, and then they add on the 955. In this case, they took off the 1145 and combined the other two values. You're still going to wind up with the same answer at the end. So those are two or more properties, more than two add-ins, excuse me. And in the second one, the commutative property lets you add two decimals in any order or whole numbers. You can move things around. So we have the 1145 in first position and the 339 in second position. And then you can reverse them and still get the same answer. But remember, we cannot do that in division and subtraction. So the commutative property and associative property make it easier to add numbers. So use the commutative property to change the order. So we can change the order of numbers around, if that would help us. Use the associative property to change the grouping. And you can use either of those strategies to help you figure out things mentally. So in this case, this person decided they could add the 1145 and the 955 first because they knew that 45 and 55 would make $1. So now they just thought, well, 11 plus 9 is 20. And then 45 plus 55 is 1, so I have 21. So they actually put those two together in their head to get the 21, and then it was easier for them to add the 339 to 21 mentally. And again, if you need to do any of that on paper pencil, that's completely fine. So use mental math to find the sum and explain your thinking. Let's take a look at these numbers here. So Jim earns $22.50, $14.75, and $8.50 on 3 different days. Now, when I look at these, two numbers jump out at me that they could kind of be combined by me mentally because I know that they both have add-ins with 50 in the 10th hundredths place. So I know when I'm adding, I can think 22 plus 8, that equals 30. And I'm thinking 50 cents plus 50 cents is $1. So that's going to be $31. And then I just need to add $14.75 to that. So I'm adding 31 plus $14.75. And when I add 31 to $14.75, in my brain, I know I've got 75 cents hanging off the end there because this is 31 whole dollars. And when I add 31 and 14, I know I'm going to get 45. So that's working your brain, doing it mentally, but if you need to do it pencil paper, you can. That's perfectly fine. Just to get yourself started and get your brains going. You want to try to do the mental math and check it on a calculator and see if you got it right, because some of you would be surprised. If you have enough concentration, you actually are able to do this. Kids are often surprised at how smart their brains actually are in math. If you just give yourself a chance. So as we move on to the another example and the guided practice, when our computer catches up with us here, doesn't want to close some of these windows here. Sometimes that helps. And I'm going to refresh my page. Sometimes that helps. There we go. I know Savas has been acting a little strange again today. So I already did that page. All right. With compensation, adjust one or both numbers to make the calculations easier, then adjust the difference or sum to get the final answer. So using compensation to subtract, sometimes you're going to take more out than you would normally, and then you're going to add it back in at the end. So that's a little tricky. This is probably the hardest thing to do mentally for your age group, but for some of you, you will be able to get this. So I'm going to have 4.25, and I want to subtract 0.08. If you don't know what 25 minus 8 is off the top of your head, you could round the 8 hundredths to 10 hundredths. And you probably could do this in your head, 4.25 minus 0.10. So when we do that in our head, we're going to wind up with 4.15. Then you have to remember that you actually took a little too much out. Instead of taking 800ths out, you took 1000ths out. So what you're going to have to do at the end there is you're going to have to throw it back in. So while you're doing all this in your head, and I know this is super tricky for some of you, so you're going to add that back in and you're going to wind up with 4.17. I would say try it. See if you can do some of this stuff in your head and check the work on the calculator. It's like you over rounded and then you've got to give it back. So using compensation to add, we have 4.47 plus 4.35. We're trying to add these mentally. 47 and 35 don't really add very easily, but I know I can round that up to 350 and then I can add them a little bit easier there. But I need to remember that I rounded that up 3 cents, so I'm going to have to take 3 cents away from our final answer. And again, I realize that's very tricky. So let me go back. I rounded this value up 2 cents. I added it mentally, and then 3 cents. I took the 3 cents back out. That's why I wind up with 78 or 7.82. In the addition example above, why is the answer 3 cents less than 7.85? And it's 3 cents less because we rounded up. Remember, we rounded up. Let's see, where are we? Oh, yeah, here it is. We rounded up. We went from 3.47, we rounded up to 3.50. So in that case, you would write that you rounded one value up 3 cents. Rounded and add in. And you want to try to use those 5th grade letters and add in up 3 cents. And so we needed to reduce our final answer by 3 cents. I've got to move this. I'm sorry to erase this, but anyway, I can move on here. There we go. Which problem is easier to subtract? 15.50 minus 8.75 or 15.75 minus 9? Which one's easier? And why do you think it's easier? Well, I would say the second value is easier because I don't really have any regrouping to do. I pretty much can do this in my head. If I can do 15 minus 9 in my head, I know 15 minus 9 is going to be 6. So when I subtract, that one's easier to do mentally. This one, the first value is a little trickier to do mentally. But some people probably can do it mentally. Okay, do you know how? In 3 through 6, use mental math to add or subtract. And again, you of course can use pencil, paper, and check your work on a calculator. But let's try to do some mental math here. So if I was going to add these 3 values, remember I can move them around if I want. Maybe I can do whatever I want. I can maybe just add the whole numbers first. 12 plus 3 plus 8. I know 8 goes with 2 to make a 10. So 12 plus 8 is 20. And then I can add that 3. So now I know my whole number is 23. And then I can add my decimals. So 0.28 plus 0.04 is going to be 32. So that's kind of it's kind of weirdly written, but that's kind of working it mentally. Number 4, maybe I want to, round that to 7. So 7 plus 4, 15 is 11.15. But remember that I rounded this up. How many digits did I round it up? I rounded it up 300ths. So I'm going to have to subtract 300ths from 11.15. So I'm going to get 11.12. That's using mental math. I rounded up 300ths, so I'm going to have to take it away at the end because I added too much in. For number 5, I could probably do similar thing for number 5. I could take away, I could turn this into a 7 and say 9.04 minus 7 is 2.04. But remembering that I took away a little bit more than I was supposed to, I'm going to have to add that little bit back in. So I really wind up with 2.06. And then the last one, 4.02, 0.19, and 16.48. Well, I know 2 plus 48 would equal 50. 4 plus 16 is 20. So look, I got rid of that. 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 So all I have left is to add the 19 in. So 20 plus 50 plus 19 is 20.69. And again, I know this is very tricky for some of you. So try to see where you think you might answer this mentally. Try to figure it out mentally. Take a good guess, get your brain working, make sure you have a quiet workspace to concentrate, and then check your work on a calculator. So that is the best way to do that. Now you can go on and do the independent practice, or if you're one of the kids that would like to use the buddy work, you may go into the buddy work. But remember, you all have to finish with the quick check today. So have a great day.